There are many ways to predict the wealth of a country and compare it with other countries. One of the most commonly used methods is to calculate the GDP per capita, which can easily show how wealthy ordinary people are. Which are the 10 richest countries in the world? Let's start with the 10th. 10th, Switzerland. Jungfrau, white chocolate, the bobsleigh, and of course the Swiss Army knife. It has the highest nominal wealth per adult and the 10th highest per capita gross domestic product and has been considered a tax haven. It ranks highly on some international metrics, including economic competitiveness and human development. Its cities such as Zurich, Geneva and Basel rank among the highest in the world in terms of quality of life, albeit with some of the highest costs of living in the world. In 2019, IMD placed Switzerland first in attracting skilled workers. The World Economic Forum ranks it the 5th most competitive country globally. 9th, Kuwait. The flat Arabian Desert covers most of Kuwait's territory. Oil reserves were discovered in commercial quantities in 1938. Kuwait makes up over 6% of the world's total reserves. The oil industry accounts today for about 40% of the country's GDP and over 90% of its exports. Kuwait is a constitutional sovereign state with a semi-democratic political system. Kuwait has a World Bank high-income economy backed by the world's 6th largest oil reserves. The Kuwaiti dinar is the highest valued currency in the world. According to the World Bank, the country has the 19th highest per capita income. The constitution was promulgated in 1962. In recent years, Kuwaiti investment companies have invested large percentages of their assets abroad, and their foreign assets have become substantially larger than their domestic assets. 8th, the United Arab Emirates. Dubai and Emirates Airline. This is my impression of the United Arab Emirates. The UAE has developed from a juxtaposition of Bedouin tribes to one of the world's most wealthy states in only about 50 years. Between 2000 and 2018, the average real GDP growth was at close to 4%. It is the second largest economy in the GCC, after Saudi Arabia, backed by the world's 7th largest oil deposits, and thanks to considerate investments combined with decided economic liberalism and firm government control, the UAE has seen their real GDP more than tripled in the last 4 decades. Nowadays the UAE is one of the world's richest countries, with GDP per capita almost 80% higher than the OECD average. It's a country that has nothing left for someone but money. 7th, Norway. The Kingdom of Norway is a Nordic country in northern Europe whose mainland territory comprises the western and northernmost portion of the Scandinavian peninsula. Norwegians enjoy the 7th highest GDP per capita in the world. Today, Norway ranks as the 2nd wealthiest country in the world in monetary value, with the largest capital reserve per capita of any nation. Norway maintained first place in the world in the HDI for 6 consecutive years from 2001 to 2006 and then reclaimed this position in 2009. The standard of living in Norway is among the highest in the world. Foreign Policy magazine ranks Norway last in its Failed States Index for 2009, judging Norway to be the world's most well-functioning and stable country. Norway is the first country which banned deforestation, in order to prevent rainforests from vanishing. The country declared its intention at the UN Climate Summit in 2014, alongside Great Britain and Germany. Crops that are typically linked to forests destruction are timber, soy, palm oil and beef. Now Norway has to find a new way to provide these essential products without exerting a negative influence on its environment. 6th, Ireland. Until recently, Ireland seemed unstoppable. While the rest of Europe was facing all sort of uncertainties, such as Brexit, trade tensions with the US, refugee and migrant crises to name a few, the Irish economy just kept humming along. In 2019, while the Eurozone grew only 1.2%, it expanded by over 5.5%, consolidating its role as the fastest-growing country on the continent. A nation of fewer than 5 million inhabitants, Ireland was one of the hardest hit by the global downturn. Following some politically difficult reform measures, including sharp cuts in public sector wages and restructuring its banking industry, the island nation regained its fiscal health, boosted its employment rates and saw its per capita GDP almost double to its current levels. Do citizens feel twice as rich as 10 years ago? Probably not. Ireland is one of the world's largest corporate tax havens, with ordinary people benefiting infinitely far less than companies do. And while they are undoubtedly better off than they used to, according to data from the OECD, the national household per capita disposable income is actually lower than the overall member country's average, about $25,300 a year versus $33,600. with a considerable gap between the richest and poorest. The top 20% of the population earns almost 5 times as much as the bottom 20%. Most families would balk at the idea that they are wealthy, especially now that the economy is projected to shrink more than 7% by year end. 5th, Brunei Darussalam. The nation of Brunei, the abode of peace, is a country located on the north coast of the island of Borneo in Southeast Asia. Apart from its coastline with the South China Sea, the country is entirely surrounded by the insular Malaysian state of Sarawak. It is separated into 2 parts by the Sarawak district of Limbang. Brunei is the only sovereign state completely on the island of Borneo. The remainder of the island's territory is divided between the nations of Malaysia and Indonesia. Brunei's population was 428,963 in 2018. Brunei gained its independence from the United Kingdom on the 1st of January 1984. Economic growth during the 1990s and 2000s, with the GDP increasing 56% from 1999 to 2008, transformed Brunei into an industrialized country. It has developed wealth from extensive petroleum and natural gas fields. Brunei has the second highest Human Development Index among the Southeast Asian nations, after Singapore, and is classified as a developing country. According to the International Monetary Fund (IMF), Brunei is ranked 5th in the world by gross domestic product per capita at purchasing power parity. There is no duty-free shopping in Brunei because the country is tax-free. 4th, Singapore. Singapore is one of the smallest countries in the world. It has a highly developed market economy, based historically on extended entrepot trade. Along with Hong Kong, South Korea, and Taiwan, Singapore is one of the 4 Asian tigers but has surpassed its peers in terms of GDP per capita. Between 1965 and 1995, growth rates averaged around 6% per annum, transforming the living standards of the population. Singapore's stated foreign policy priority is maintaining security in Southeast Asia and the surrounding territories. An underlying principle is political and economic stability in the region. It has diplomatic relations with more than 180 sovereign states. In recent years, the country has been identified as an increasingly popular tax haven for the wealthy due to the low tax rate on personal income and tax exemptions on foreign-based income and capital gains. Australian millionaire retailer Brett Blundy and multi-billionaire Facebook co-founder Eduardo Saverin are 2 examples of wealthy individuals who have settled in Singapore. 3rd, Luxembourg. Luxembourg is currently the only surviving Grand Duchy in Europe. Although it has a small land area and a small population, it has a number of EU institutions, such as the European Court of Justice, the European Court of Auditors, and the European Investment Bank. You can visit Luxembourg for its castles and beautiful countryside, its cultural festivals or gastronomic specialities. Or you could just set up an offshore account through one of its banks and never set foot again, as many do. It would a pity though. Situated at the very heart of Europe, this nation of about 600,000 has plenty to offer, both to its tourists and its citizens. Luxembourg uses a large share of its wealth to deliver better housing, healthcare and education to its people, who by far enjoy the highest standard of living in the Eurozone. Yet, while both the global financial crisis and the pressure from the EU and OECD to reduce banking secrecy have had little impact on the economy, the coronavirus outbreak forced many businesses to close and workers to lose their jobs. The National Government Statistics Service has already stated that it expects the recession to be as short as it has been sharp and that in 2021 the Grand Duchy's GDP will rebound by 7% from -6% this year. The country topped the $100,000 mark in per capita GDP in 2015 and never looked back ever since. Even the pandemic is unlikely to change that. 2nd, Macau. Perhaps few people know Macau, but Macau is actually the Las Vegas of Asia. The vast majority of government funding, 79.6% of total tax revenue, comes from gaming. In Asia's gambling capital, many are betting that Macau will climb to the first spot of the richest nations ranking very soon. Formerly a colony of the Portuguese Empire, since the gaming industry was liberalized in 2001, this special administrative region of the People's Republic of China has seen its wealth growing at an astounding pace. With a population just over 600,000, and more than 40 casinos spread over a territory of about 30 square kilometers, this narrow peninsula just south of Hong Kong is almost literally a money-making machine. However, since the area is only 115.5 square kilometers, it ranks 230th in the world. Due to a lack of available land for farming, agriculture is not significant in the economy. Food is exclusively imported to Macau and almost all foreign goods are transshipped through Hong Kong. First, Qatar. The state of Qatar is a country located in Western Asia, occupying the small Qatar Peninsula on the northeastern coast of the Arabian Peninsula. Citizens can enjoy free housing, medical care, and education from the very beginning. Due to its position as a key economic hub on the Arabian Peninsula, Qatar has abundant oil and natural gas resources. Luxury cars, beauties, yachts, and tigers all attract people who want to be here. The FIFA World Cup 2022 will be held in Qatar, making it the first ever Muslim and Arab country to host the Cup. The economy is projected to keep growing over the medium term amid a rise in gas production and investment in preparation of the 2022 World Cup. By then, hopefully, social distancing on the stands will not be required. Is your country on the list? Have you traveled to the above countries? Which country do you think is richer but not on the list? Here is Monopony. Welcome to like, comment and subscribe. See you next episode.